All right, stocks soaring after President Trump announcing a tariff pause for most nations for those are for the reciprocal tariffs. Yesterday, the S&P 500 surging 9.5%, its third best day since 1940.
The president, however, is still pushing aggressively against China, raising tariffs even more against the communist nation to 125%. Meanwhile, for the other nations, the reciprocal tariff have been paused for 90 days, but a 10% baseline will still be in place.
We've got the best guest to talk about this. He is the director of the National Economic Council. Kevin Hassett joins us from the North Lawn. Good morning to you, Kevin.
Good morning.
Hey, guys.
I see that shortly after they paused, you went into the Oval Office with some other high-ranking officials, and you talked about, among other things, the fact that one of the things that was freaking people out is there was a gigantic sell-off in the U.S. bond market. And U.S. bonds, treasuries, have always been seen as the gold standard around the world, and if there are cracks in that, we're all kind of screwed.
Well, as an economist, I can say that my judgment yesterday morning as I was watching interest rates climb up quite a bit, that a lot of the people who normally buy U.S. treasuries were wondering whether the president was really serious about what he was saying when he was saying that we're going to renegotiate better deals for the American people. And I knew he was serious, and he knew he was serious. And we had been working on plans for the negotiations for weeks, and even had a couple of deals lined up that maybe were close to being announced. And we're getting ready to talk about, well, what's the next stage? What's the next step for the negotiations? I even, yesterday morning, was on a call with the president, with the Swiss president, talking about a Swiss trade deal. And so the point is everything was moving, but then when the bond market started to say, hey, we don't believe these guys, I think the president decided on his own, really, that, well, we're going to announce this anyway. We might as well do it today. There's a little bit of an extra push for the bond market. But this is the plan that he was pursuing all along.
So did you know about that? Thank you, Lawrence. Did you know this was part of his plan? He was going to do this on Thursday?
I knew that he had options that he wanted us to prepare in a very orderly fashion, unanimity between everybody from Peter Navarro to Howard Lutnick to Scott Bessent to me, and Vice President. He was also in on it. And the fact is that there were options for the president. That's always what he likes to see. And then he had the options and he was thinking about them. And then he made, I think, the absolutely right, decisive call to go with really the bigger move rather than announce one or two trade deals, but go with the bigger move so that everybody in the world understands that he means what he says, that he wants people to be fair to American workers. And we saw so much progress in the last few weeks once we started to announce that we're going to do this and then actually do it, that the president was sure that the process was being successful and so he could move ahead to the next step.
So, Kevin, let's talk China. And when you look at some of the numbers, it's pretty stunning. When you talk about the U.S. exports to China, it's $143 billion. The imports from China are $438 billion. But when you look at the deficit with China, it's negative $295 billion. So what's the goal, Kevin? Always to isolate China and push them to the negotiating table? It doesn't look like they're caving yet, but it looks like that's the president's goal, right?
Well, I think his first goal always was to advantage American workers. Remember, when China entered the WTO, then for the next 15 years, real wages in the United States went down by about $1,200 cumulatively. So all those cheap products didn't make welfare better off for American citizens because wages went down by more than prices because of the low demand for American workers. And so what President Trump's been doing is he's been trying to drive up demand for workers, drive up wages so that real welfare improves, and he's highly confident that this policy will accomplish it. There's going to be a lot of disruption for China right now because they've been dumping cheap goods into the U.S. And doing so, I think, as a strategy that it has national defense implications. And so what's going on right now with China is that the ships that are filled with Chinese products don't know where to go. They're stuck in port. The factories that are making the Chinese goods are going to have to slow down because they don't have ships to load the stuff into. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on China to stop its bad acting and to come to the table.
Yeah. And Kevin, before the president paused the tariffs, the Wall Street Journal says, and they talked to a couple of people who are close to the president's thinking, the president knew, and he talked about how, we're all going to feel some pain. You're going to feel some pain. He knew there was pain. He knew the tariffs could trigger a recession. His worry was that it would cause a depression. Did you know that the president was concerned with a depression?
I think that you have to think about what the scenarios were that we were playing out for the president. One scenario is that we come out with tariffs and non-tariff barriers that are at the level of our trading partners, and they don't respond. And in that scenario, it's going to be pretty bad for the global economy. But the good news is that we're making America great again with Trump policies, but we're also rebuilding the global order because the other countries that are coming to the table are more or less going to be adopting Trump, anti-globalist policies as well. And it's going to be great for their workers, and it's going to be great for our workers as well.
Kevin, what about the deals? We want to see deals. We want to see win after win after win. We want to see countries coming into the White House signing deals. When will that happen?
Right.
And which countries?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to name the countries yet. In fact, we have a meeting today with all the top principals where we're going to present to the president a list of what we think his priorities might look like, and then I'm sure he's going to have his own ideas about where to move things. But I can tell you that we've already got offers on the table for more than 15 countries. 15 countries.
Great.
Now, that doesn't mean there's a deal, but it means that you've heard the much larger number for people who call and they want to talk. But there are specific offers on the table, I've been informed from USTR, of about 15 countries right now. And so this is moving fast. The thing that I joked about when we said the 90-day pause is that we're going to go around the world in 80 days and have 10 days of rest. That's our plan.
Okay.
Good plan.
Thanks for joining the program this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.